What's up, nerds? Ladies and gentlemen from around the world, welcome to the final of GP Sao Paulo. You're in the booth with me. My name's Riley Knight, joined by my good friend and colleague Paulo Rosa. On your screen, Leonardo Gucci on Abzan Traverse, Jose Paredes on Maru Pyromancer. Mirror, mirror on the wall, which deck is the fairest of them all? It's got to be one of these two, Paulo.
Yeah, it's definitely one of these two. I mean, they're both just fair. You know, that's the... I guess the Jose has, you know, the Blood Moon cheese kind of thing, like Blood Moon. You know, he can win with that card alone sometimes, so he would be slightly less fair than the Absent deck, which is just a straight fair deck. But, you know, this is like the 10 on the first kill and then 9.8.
Echeverria on the play here as he finished second in the Swiss. Going to kick things off with a Faithless Looting. Nice start for the Pyromancer deck, and obviously they can tend to take trips to Loose Keep City with the you know, Faithless Looting often smoothing out those loosey goosey draws there.
Yeah, I think that is for two reasons. The first one is that, you know, obviously you're more likely to keep a card like a one lander or a hand that is flooded if you have Faithless Looting, because it will fix that. And also, mulliganing when you have Faithless Looting in your deck is worse. Because Faithless Looting is a card that cares about quantity way more than quality. So you just being down a card and having one fewer option to discard is pretty bad. That said, I'm surprised he discarded Bedlam Reveler there. It strikes me as one of the more powerful cards in this matchup, because it is still an attrition war, whatever way you put it. And Bedlam Reveler is a great card to have as the last card in your hand, though it is often vulnerable to Thoughtseize and Liliana of the Veil, just because it takes so long to cast. So that could be... And he has another one. Okay.
That was the other situation I was going to suggest there. Two Bedlam Revelers in hand. The second one is... I mean, we talk about diminishing returns. They don't diminish much harder than a second Bedlam Reveler.
No, you need like a Teferi to be able to play both. You know, the original Teferi, Major Zalfir, then it works. It's the same with the Flame of Keld, as I learned during PD testing. It does not scale well in multiples.
Yeah. You never want to draw too many of those flames there. Gucci has kicked things off with a modern powerhouse in Tarmogoyf. Echeverria is going to resolve another Faithless Looting here after flashing back a Lingering Souls on turn 2. That's a nice play from him. And of course, one of the kind of 1-2 punch that this Pyromancer deck is capable of. He will often take turn 2 off to deploy a threat to the board. Maru, obviously named after the Pyromancer, Maru Pyromancer there. Young Pyromancer, a terrific play on turn 2, as it rewards PV the deck for playing the game plan that it wants to play anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the dream is that, you know, maybe you lead with a discard spell, you see the coast is clear, then you play a Pyromancer, and then after that, you don't have to do anything other than react to what your opponent is doing. So you just remove everything they play, and as you're doing that, you're getting tokens, and eventually you just overwhelm them. That is the dream. It's version of, you know, a Dark Confidant. And
we see another Bedlam Reveler discarded by Echeverria here. Nice.
Yeah, there's another one in hand. He drew 3.
Dear.
And there's also a Kolaghan's Command to protect it, so...
I guess this is the thing here where we have, you know, those Bedlam Revelers hitting the bin, but it's not the end of the road for them, because there is the Raise Dead mode on Kolaghan's Command.
Yeah, for sure.
But Gucci, with a Tarmogoyf that I think is a 3/4, even though his graveyard is empty.
Yeah, I mean that...
What a sick life, huh?
Yeah, courtesy of your opponent's Faithless Looting.
Yeah.
It might just eat a Fatal Push here, but I'm not even sure Jose cares that much about that. It might do it anyway, because, you know, that would make Bedlam Reveler slightly easier to cast, but it still won't be able to cast it next turn regardless, so there's not that much incentive. And probably wants to use that Kolaghan's Command before he casts it anyway. If he can, that would be ideal.
In comes the Goevski, and it is going to eat that Fatal Push, as you mentioned. So Echeverria obviously prioritizing removaling the Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, it is now removaled.
It is removaled.
Or maybe not.
Oh, hello. Gucci's got...
is he going to have to exile it?
A trick or two up his sleeve. That would still see it be removaled.
Yes, it would be really removaled.
It would be double, triple removaled. Gucci with that characteristic thumb flick. Oh, he's going to pop the cards down on the table. Call the waiter over. Have a look at the menu, perhaps. Does have the path to exit. That's what he's thinking about.
Yeah, this is really one of those spots where you think before you do anything.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't end up pathing there, we're all going to know he has path.
Yeah.
You know, that is... like, you're not bluffing in that spot. You're really just considering your play.
So what's the situation here? Why is this the play here that Gucci's made?
I believe it is, well, there's two reasons, right? The first one is insurance against Blood Moon.
Okay.
Right? Because if he doesn't path in now, he's not going to have another creature, and he doesn't have a forest in play. If Blood Moon hits, then he can't cast a spell. The second reason is that he just doesn't have any lands, and he has 4 mana cards in his hand, and he doesn't really see a path target here. So he would rather, like, he might, I can't see his hand exactly, but he might have another removal spell, like, of some sort. He's not going to path Token. That would just be too bad.
I suppose in his mind he thinks, okay, my two targets for my Path to Exile is either Young Pyromancer or Bedlam Reveler, right? I've got a Siege Rhino in hand. I want to deploy this bad boy. I want to get this Thumper onto the battlefield and start clipping in for 4. If that's the case, the Path to Exile is best used then as a sort of weird kind of harrow, creature-o, if you will, to get a land out of the library. Yeah.
I mean, this is a spot you can also think of it. You know, would you sacrifice the land to put a Path to Exile in your hand in this spot? And the answer is no. He wants his 4th land.
Yeah.
So he would rather have the land than Path to Exile. So it follows logically that he just Path to Exile it.
Okay, that's a great way to look at it. That's actually, I mean, it may sound very simplistic to you, but that kind of view actually changes things considerably. If you look at the path and you're like, I'd actually rather just a basic, and even better, a basic on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Like, would you cycle that path if you could? Well, the answer is probably. And what are you hoping to draw if you cycle it? A land. So might as well just get a land immediately. So I like that play from Leonardo.
Because the Tarmogoyf's going away anyway. There's no way to stop that.
Yeah.
Well, 3 mana now for Gyuchi. Looks like he's not going to commit that Rhino to the board just yet. He may have a land and a follow-up 2-drop if he chooses to play Liliana. Wow. He's really toing and froing with these decisions. And again, the weight is called over to the table.
Yeah, at least he didn't give anything away with this one, I don't think.
Looks like he's tossing up between a couple of different options in hand. We see Liliana with the Veil. I think that's a Lingering Souls. I'm leaning over to the left of the screen. You know, like when your little brother's playing Mario Kart and starts turning the controller to try to make it
your little brother or you.
I never did that.
No, I mean me.
I deny it's true. Well, you're the little brother, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, there you go.
I have 2 older brothers.
Yeah, of course you are. There you are. There's a Lingering Souls now from Leonardo Gyuchi. And he does have a second land as well, so we may see a follow-up play there. Do you know what we used to do to my sister? I've told you this story about what we used to do when we were playing Mario Kart with my sister.
What did you do?
So we would plug in 2 controllers, me and my brother. And then
did you give her a fake controller?
Give her a third controller that wasn't plugged in. Hide one of our controllers under the blanket or you know, away where she wouldn't see it. And we're like, oh, you're doing really well, Mill. Well done. You're going well. You're winning like that. She had no idea.
Wow, that's deep. Like,
she's she is so tough. She's such a tough lady now. She had to grow up with 2 of the most.
Does she know you did that?
I think she does now. I mean, it's now on the public record. Mill, if you are listening and you did hear this, I'd like to take this opportunity to say that I'm deeply, deeply pleased with myself, having done that for years and years. No apologies here.
That is
hey, she deserved it. She was born after the 2 of us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is her fault.
It is absolutely her fault. My younger brother, got an absolute pasting from Eva, of course, whenever he could. He's at Colligan's command. It's the law of the jungle, PV.
The Lord of the Jungle?
No, it's the law of the jungle.
Oh, the law. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I see it. Sorry, I misheard you. Yeah.
And also, that is, the older brother is the Lord of the Jungle, or the older sister. Top of the pile, man.
Are you the oldest or the middle?
Very proudly so.
Okay.
Very proudly so. Don't worry about it.
So we're going to see a Badland Reveler finally? I don't think we are, actually.
Inquisition is going to be the play here for Echeverria. Have a look at this one. So the options are Liliana, 2 different flavors thereof. Siege Rhino immune to the Inquisition.
Yeah, and, you know, the Last Hope Liliana looking much better than the Veil Liliana in a spot like this, so that's probably what's going to go. Where is the Colligan's command in the graveyard? I don't see it.
Oh, he's now split his graveyard into 2 piles.
Oh, and one is off camera?
One of them is off camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's not ideal.
He can't cast the Reveler, we just don't know that he can. All right.
Yeah, it's not ideal. It's not the optimal viewing experience, but you can see both players now interacting with that off-screen graveyard. Maybe we can see if we can get that fixed up. We might get the coverage team to get across there and get that graveyard inside. I can see a couple of furrowed brows there. They're going to take care of that for us right here, right now. 3 cards off the top now, thanks to that Bedlam Reveler. What a card this is.
Oh, yeah, this card is super good. It's surprising it took as long as it actually took for it to be more played. But I'm kind of interested in what is the methodology for the second graveyard, you know? Because you could think, well, spells in one side, permanents in another, so that I can more easily count for the Badland Reveler, but no, there's a Fateless Looting in there.
I think it's just real estate.
So
I think it's purely just real estate.
Okay.
And now look at Gyuchi's got a way that he wants his opponent to organize that graveyard over there as well. So Liliana, the last hope, hits the bin here.
Yeah, and the big question is, do you want to trade your tokens for your opponents? I think the answer is probably no, because you know they have a Liliana of the Veil in hand, so if you just trade both tokens, you lose your Battling Raveler and probably the game in a spot like that.
Well, that bad, huh?
Well, I'm a bit overdramatic, but
No, never.
anyone can win this game from here, but, you wouldn't like that position.
Paulo Dama Rosa, ladies and gentlemen, in my estimation, is a gentleman who, seeing a glass that was 3/4 full, would still describe it as half empty.
Look, I'm a realist.
I don't want you to say that you're a realist.
I just did.
I don't want you to say that.
But I am.
I don't want you to say that. The world is more silver lining than cloud, Paulo.
Look, it doesn't matter if the glass is half full or half empty because it's refillable.
Yes, okay, that's good. I like that. That's much more optimistic. Here's the Siege Rhino for Leonardo Gucci. And that's a nice answer, at least theoretically, to that opposing Bedlam Reveler. It's going to hold it off some percentage of the time at least.
Yeah, and the life gain is pretty good. And the fact that he attacks through the tokens because he has Trample.
Oh, yeah.
So the Bedlam Reveler is going to be a 5/6 or even a 6/7 this turn because there's a Manamorphose. But yeah, I really like the interaction. Phalas looting Bedlam Reveler. It's kind of like it goes both ways. The looting, you play it early and then you fill your graveyard for the Reveler. But once you do play the Reveler, you draw 3 cards. And you were at a spot in the game where a lot of cards don't matter.
Yeah, you can go with the Dudskis.
Yeah, so Thoughtseize, Inquisition are often bad in the late game. Extra lands are bad, so you just discard those to the Fateless looting.
In this case, he's discarded the Manamorphose, which is, I think, rather perplexing, considering that it's just a free prowess trigger in most situations there, Paulo.
Yeah, probably doesn't feel like he needs the prowess trigger at this point, and all his other cards are more valuable. Like, he would rather have an Inquisition that is taking a Liliana than a random card that comes attached with a prowess trigger.
But, I mean, can't he just cycle the Manamorphose and then cast that Inquisition off of it?
Well, he would have to keep a land for that.
Okay.
And then he would have to discard Bolt. I believe that was what would happen.
Right.
Though I think he might have kept a land anyway.
Yeah, it seems to me that that's the case. Looks like a Bloodstained Mire there. Looks like it's going to be a 50-50 flip here between Inquisition of Kozilek and a Grim Flayer there.
Yeah, I'm wondering why he didn't discard the land instead. I think I would rather have a Manamorphose in my hand than a land. Even though the land does allow him to cast a bolt immediately, I don't think he really cares about that. I don't think he's going to bolt anything.
I mean, yeah, what's the bolt going to target, right? Well, we are going to see the Bedlam Reveler get busy offering the trade here. Doesn't play the land for that bolt too. So just straight up offering a trade. Gucci's not going to take it.
Oh.
Wants to keep
He's
that.
He's really not going to take it in either of the meanings. It's a bit surprising to me, I guess. I guess I would lean towards blocking. I mean, that is a 5, right?
It's a 5/6.
Yeah. So if he blocks with Rhino and 2 tokens, I think that's
not a disfavorable exchange.
No, I mean, he just likely trades Rhino for Bedlam Reveler, which I think he would want to do, but...
Well, anyway you slice it, Echeverria rumbles across with his prowess monster, who reverts back to being a 3/4 now that the action is with Leonardo Gucci. Does have that Siege Rhino. I can imagine that, that BBD, if he's watching this, he's at home just beating his chest, ready to watch this Siege Rhino rumble. He just wishes it was an Obsidat, I know that.
Yeah, Siege Rhino does rumble.
And it's going to do that right here, right now. BBD runs around the room, high-fiving everyone he can see, I imagine.
Every time I see, this attack, right, he could have attacked with 2 tokens, with 1 or with 0, right? And I'm always wondering, what is the thought process behind attacking with exactly 1?
Exactly 1.
Not 0 and not 2.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the hardest things in Magic because it's so hard to, quantify. It's like you're basically just guessing at that point. And...
I mean, that's what. Remember, Frank wrote that article about acting randomly sometimes, like rolling a die to determine whether you're going to block a creature or not.
I believe I read that article.
Maybe skimmed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I'm usually in the business of, my own choices will be better than random. Otherwise, why am I even doing this
You want to be a master of your own destiny?
Yeah. I mean, I believe I can get more than 50%. I believe this applies to situations where you really could make either play. and you don't want your opponent to know what you do all the time.
Yeah,
So you don't want yourself to be biased. Like you have like a liar's pendulum, you know?
Yeah.
It's a card you can either lie or you can tell the truth. And sometimes you're like, well, I'm just going to roll a die and decide. So if you think they're better at reading you, for example, than you are at hiding things, then at that spot, yeah, you want it to be random rather than your opponent, reading you. But for my own decisions, most of the time, yeah, I'm not going to roll up. Yeah.
So you're a coward, is what you're saying?
No, I'm confident.
You're confident?
Yeah. I'm confident that I'll get better than 50% in a 2-choice.
Well, it's always only going to be 50-50. Any choice between two options, it's only 50, because it either happens or it doesn't.
Yeah, but I might as well just choose my 50 then.
Well, then just choose your 50.
I want to be accountable.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I like that angle. Yeah. You want to be the master of your own destiny. You want to be answerable.
Yeah, and I want the rewards too. Like if it works out, I'm like, I did this. I'm great.
Yeah. I knew there was a twist in the tale there. Gucci dumps his hand onto the battlefield here. We see 2-drop, 3-drop in the form of Grimflayer into Liliana of the Veil. Now, Echeverria certainly taking his time with the decision as how to press forward. Paulo, he's got a lightning bolt in hand. That can directly contest that Liliana, in addition to those flying spirits here. But what's the way forward for Echeverria? He's on 8. He's under a bit of pressure, but he certainly has the card advantage right now.
He does, but yeah, the cards in play are so much better for Leonardo. And yeah, that is the, I guess, very conservative play.
Well, we're going to see another Lingering Souls here.
Yeah, the problem is that both the creatures have trample. So the Bedlam Reveler really can't attack, I don't think. Because if it does attack, then maybe, Liliana just dies. And then how do you deal with those two tramplers? So Bedlam Reveler has to stay back to block, and then if you have Bedlam Reveler plus Bolt, that works. What you can do is you attack Liliana with both tokens. Then, assuming one gets blocked on Leonardo's upkeep, you Lightning Bolt the Liliana, which will give you a 4/5 on defense.
Yeah, right.
Because you both are on their turn. But if you're going to do that, I'm not really sure why he played the Lingering Souls before. I would rather just not give your opponent the information.
Looks like Echeverria is actually going to give Gucci a free activation of that Liliana here.
Yeah, he will get to, eat one of the 4/4s because of that, whereas Leonardo might not even attack if he knows those are... Well, but now it's a bit more
problem.
important.
This is going to force the issue here for Echeverria, as he has Collective Brutality and Lightning Bolt in hand. So he's going to lose that Brutality if he snaps off the Lightning Bolt, which I imagine he kind of has to do here.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think his line that he was thinking about was, I'll pass, and then my opponent will attack with Siege Rhino and Green Flare. Then I'll block Green Flare with a token and bolt it. So to finish it off.
Oh, poor old Echeverria. He's been told not to split his graveyard, and so now he's having to really make concessions. Dude,
well,
it's
that's
okay.
Because he's just putting it in this weird pile. Obviously, he's going to run out of room at some point. Just make it one pile.
Just keep it on the playmat, man. That's all we wanted. I'm sorry. I feel bad that we just absolutely torn into shreds here. You didn't see the way he put he put the Collective Brutality down in a new graveyard pile next to it, and then he was like, oh, I can't do that. And he put it on top of it. Oh, poor bloke. I'm sorry, Echeverria. Came down here like a ton of bricks before. Now I feel very bad.
So it's interesting. When the guy in the quarterfinals had his lens above his spells, you were like, burn him!
There's no excuse. Burn the witch!
Yeah, and now we're like, oh, poor guy. He has to put his Collective Brutality in his graveyard pile and not like a mile away.
Exactly. You were making the case before, Paulo Dama Rosa, that there should be DQs handed out to people that do things that mildly annoy you.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Well, okay. Well, then I'm sure you can see my point of view. Here's Lingering Souls from the bin. That's going to free up that real estate a little bit here for Echeverria. Income 2 tokens as well. Gucci not going to take the trade.
Yeah, and things are looking surprisingly better for Echeverria, who I guess now it's gamble. Does he have a spell or does he not have a spell? Like, he has a card he just drew, and we don't know what it is. If it's a spell, then attacking could be devastating. If it's not a spell, attacking could be pretty good. So I think at this point you kind of have to risk it, because what's the alternative, right? The more that you pass the turn, the more likely it is that your opponent will actually draw a spell, and the more damage you will take in the air. And there are not that many instants in this Mardu Pyromancer.
No, that's true. There really aren't. I mean, a lot of the powerful interaction comes at sorcery speed, whether it's Liliana or the Veil, or things like the hand disruption spells. It's a Mishra's Bauble. It's a Mishra's Bauble, Paulo.
It is. He targeted himself, which I don't believe is the best choice.
You want to just get a bit more information?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also there's the green flare. You know, he can target himself after that, right? But maybe, you know, that looking at that top card might change his decision on whether he attacks or not, right? If he looks and he sees a path to exile, he can be like, okay, I'll just pass and play it safe, and then path your Battling Raveler, and then I can attack. But also, it's bad if you... I guess it doesn't really matter. Like, he just gave up on looking at the top card of Echeverria's deck for that, so maybe it's even better to look at yours and make a more informed decision. It is really close. I do believe he has to attack here regardless, though.
Well, he's certainly taken your advice on board here, Paulo, and he's got in with both the Rhino and the Flayer, and Echeverria is going to block.
Yeah, and there's also the factor that Echeverria didn't attack with more tokens when he could have. So, like, if he has, like, you know, a Terminate type of card in his hand, we might just see a bigger attack on his turn than leaving all those tokens back.
So no Grim Flayer triggers. Away goes the Bedlam Reveler. The Rhino gets across. Gucci using that latest bleeding edge technology to draw the card off of his Bauble trigger here. Echeverria does have quite a sizable Air Force, but again, Siege Rhino, a great way to punch damage through Lingering Souls.
Yeah, I mean, this was the reason it was given Trample, right? They said that when we were developing Siege Rhino, it was like, there's just too many tokens in this format, Elspeth and stuff like that. This card can't just be brickwalled by them, so we give it Trample so he can't be chump blocked by tokens every turn.
And then people ended up playing like 7 copies of it in all their decks, and it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it ended up really good.
Yeah.
But, you know, it remains the fact that, you know, Trample was super relevant against tokens.
Well, I can sniff something out here because Echeverria has drawn... Yes, okay, there it is, a Dreadbore. I was going to say he has to have found something. Jeez, you can see he's just itching to split that graveyard into two piles, but he's not doing it. So Siege Rhino down, Echeverria with the Blood Moon in hand as well, and 4 1/1 flyers. Paulo, Gucci needs something to contest this. A Lingering Souls of his own would be great, but he doesn't have it.
Yeah, it looks like he doesn't have anything.
Lightning Bolt as well.
Yeah, we'll probably not even see that Blood Moon be played because he could just draw a black card that he can't cast. Well, apparently he's playing. Oh, no, he's not.
Double wrong. Oh, no, I had to give myself the buzzer. I was so ready to just absolutely dunk on you for that call, but oh, never mind.
He shouldn't play it. I mean, now he has lethal if his opponent has nothing because he drew Lightning Bolt.
So why cast the Faithless Looting?
Well, there's no real reason to cast a pre-combat, I guess.
Yeah, just test the waters, get in there, put your opponent to 3, and then chuck a bolt at their face. Let's get it done. Yeah, and look at this. Gucci packs them up like you wouldn't believe. Speed of light. And a big round of applause from the huge crowd that has stuck around here. Generally, PV at GPs, often the Sunday Night Magic tends to be a bit of a quiet affair. People are kind of packed up. All the events are winding down. People tend to head home nice and early. Not so here, Mr. Secretary. Look at this. We've got a big crowd in tonight.
Yeah, there are a lot of people. There are a bunch of events that just ended, like the PTQ just ended.
Of course,
and
the Unlimited
Draft just ended. So everyone's just hanging around here. And also my friends have to wait for me, so they're not pleased about that.
No, I bet.
Yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of... way more people here than I'm used to.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I tell you what, I don't want to make sweeping generalizations about an entire culture and a group of people, but bloody hell, you Brazilians are noisy. Geez, you love to make a lot of noise, don't you? You get up and about like I wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen like vuvuzelas?
Oh my goodness, yes, of course.
Yes, that embodies our...
The day that they start to get brought to magic events is going to be a rough time for the eardrums of magicians around the world. My goodness me.
Yeah, we're definitely loud. If you've ever seen a top 8 announcement with a couple of Brazilians in it, you've noticed that we tend to be quite loud.
Yeah, and you'll do it. It doesn't even have to be Brazilian. Anyone remotely south, a Portuguese person.
Yeah, those are honorary Brazilians too, because they speak the same language. And
so hang on, are Portuguese honorary Brazilians or are Brazilians honorary Portuguese in that situation?
I mean, Brazil is huge and Portugal's tiny, so
who is
or you talk about how the older brother...
Yeah, right. This is my question.
Like, imagine if you had a younger brother, but he was 50 times your size.
Yeah.
Who would you feel was the bigger brother? You because you're like a couple years older?
Yeah.
Or the giant that is your brother? So
yeah, right.
Same thing.
So the original younger brother, which was Brazil, has now sort of hit the gym, just absolutely stacked on a bunch of muscle, and this nerdy Portugal is just all of a sudden now, trembling under your shadow.
Yeah, that's essentially how I would put it.
Yeah. See, Australia has a similar thing with New Zealand, right? There's definitely the older brother, younger brother thing there, but we kept them in their place. I'll tell you that. We kept them in their place. Poor old Kiwis around the world. Very, very fond of them, I have to say. I'm not allowed to say this publicly, so I won't. But Australia generally, obviously, we like to make a lot of fun of Kiwis, but I tell you
Oh,
what.
I love Portugal too.
Yeah.
It is.
But don't, you can't say that to anyone in public.
Okay, I won't then.
Well, no, I'm asking, is that the question? Is
Oh,
that like,
no, I can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
all right.
no rivalry of any sort. I mean, I just said they're honorary Brazilians,
Yeah.
so Brazil and Portugal are pretty close, I think.
All right, okay, so there seems to be a lot more, you're a lot more open about your affection, whereas Australians and Kiwis have to, we're sort of at arm's length, but actually, there's the secret handshake, the wink, and all that sort of stuff. We do love the Kiwis across the ditch, even though, our superiority is, by this stage, well and truly, very much established.
Of course.
Just as Jose Echeverria established his superiority in game number 1 of this match between Abzan and Mardu, did that one kind of pan out as planned as far as you thought there? Is Mardu, have they got the edge? We didn't see Blood Moon having an effect, but ultimately Echeverria just found those edges, those percentage points that got his mid-range list over the top.
Yeah, I think Mardu has a slight edge. I mean, both decks are, they have the same strategy and the same end goal, so it's hard to say that one is very advantaged over the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe there are some cards in the Mardu deck, namely, Battle and Reveler and Blood Moon, that kind of break the symmetry a little bit. Because if the Mardu deck plays an early Blood Moon and, the Absent deck doesn't have its basics, though it is a list with Traverse, so if you find your one forest, then, you can Traverse for your other basics and stuff like that. You can path your own creatures, but it is possible that Blood Moon just finishes a game by itself, right? And there's no card in the Absent deck that can do that.
And the thing about the Bedlam Reveler as well is that there's not really an analog for that in Abzan. Bedlam Reveler is a machine. It draws extra cards. It's a relevant threat. It's cheap to cast. It's easy to cast eventually as well. And there's no real card in the Abzan list where you can slam it on turn 8 and expect to immediately just ram yourself way out ahead.
Yeah, and I mean that is the big difference, right? The Battle Reveler is a haymaker that, as you said, there's no equivalent in Absent. So if we're both empty-handed, as those games tend to go, because there's so much discard, so much disruption, everything dies. So we're both empty-handed. I draw Battle Reveler. There's nothing in your deck that you can draw that will have a similar effect.
That's going to catch you up.
Battle Reveler is just the ultimate trump.
Yeah.
And other than that, Lingering Souls is probably the most important card, but both decks have that. And they don't necessarily have more access to it than the other. Because, the Straightless Looting and Battle Reveler for one deck, but there's also Green Flare and, Grizzly Salvage for the other decks. So I'd say both decks have roughly similar access to Lingering Souls. But, yeah, there's no comparison to Battle Reveler.
These lists have been published dailymtg.com. You can get across them there if you're wishing to see the technology available to Guichi and Echeverria as they head into game number 1. Let's very quickly talk about the sideboard of the Abzan player here. 1 Thrun, 1 Kataki, 1 Gadok, 1 Eidolon of Rhetoric, a Shriekmaw Reclamation Sage, and a Maelstrom Pulse and Bajuka Bog as the one of Double Damnation, Double Surgical, and Double Fulminator Mage also for Abzan. On Mardu's side of things, we have a Singleton Collective Brutality, Singleton Nihil Spellbomb, 2 of Engineered Explosives, Rabble Master, Kambal, Extraction, and Wear Tear, and then Molten Rain as a 3 of as well. Both these players bringing bringing lots of technology to destroy lands. What are the cards from both decks that we're going to keep a close eye on post-board here, PV?
Well, I think those sideboards are, they give you prime opportunities to make your deck worse if you're not careful.
Oh, really?
Because there are certain cards that look like they could be okay, but I don't think they are. For example, I don't think you should have Surgical Extraction in this matchup. Because, even though Lingering Souls is a very powerful card, it's very important, you cannot afford to have a card that potentially doesn't do anything in a matchup where you're trying to 1-for-1 your opponent all the time.
Yeah, that's a great point. At every situation, you need your cards to be live if you want to get ahead. And so even being down a single card, it's just not an acceptable situation.
Yeah, it definitely isn't. And it is a card that, you could potentially bring in as either of those decks, but I don't think either of them should.
Okay.
There's also, Damnation. If you're like, oh, I lost to a bunch of tokens and Young Pyromancer, Lingering Souls, I could have the Sweeper. But I don't think you should have that either. I think you should just try to, play on equal footing. Don't have a card that is potentially very bad. There are some cards that would be good, though. I think Thrun is a card you want to have.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. They can't remove it. They have to, basically chump block it all the time.
Yeah,
right?
I guess the only answer is like a Liliana on an empty board.
Yeah, but I don't think they even played that. But there's one Liliana in Echeverria's deck.
Yeah, right.
So, and I think, Bajuka Bog is just a better land.
Yeah.
If you're going to have. So, you might not take out a spell for it, but you can just replace any land from your deck with a Bajuka Bog, and it will be good because it's good against Battle Reveler and
And you can search it up there with your Traverse.
Yeah, you can search it with Traverse.
4 copies of it, basically, which is fantastic. We're off to the races. In any case, Leonardo Guici and Jose Echeverria got a Mexican wave going around the around the tournament floor by the sound of things. Oh, no, it's Willie Adel handing out all sorts of... Look at that. I want to get over. I want some of that.
Oh, I want that too. I don't know what it is, but I love freebies.
He's free stuff. I want some of that. Oh, he's chucking me into the crowd too. This is very bad. We have to watch this game of Magic. Oh, never lucky. Hashtag never lucky.
Yeah. Maybe there will be some left.
There
won't.
No, they won't scroll that away for us. Of course, now Traverse the Ulvenwald. So look at this. Guici taking Blood Moon Insurance very, very seriously. Doesn't want to get mooned by his opponent here.
Yeah, he definitely does not. And I believe he already has a Swamp and a Plains in hand now, so he's pretty good. And yeah, I think the last card he wants to bring in is Maelstrom Pulse, which does you with Battle Unraveler or a bunch of tokens from either Pyromancer or Lingering Souls. It is interesting that he didn't sack that bubble, which I think is perfectly fine. You want to wait for a spot where you can, sack the bubble and then decide if you want to keep the card on top or not because you have a fetch land. So
if Echeverria is hoping to get any kind of value out of any Blood Moon, he's going to have a very bad time because we've got all basics all day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Blood Moon now, it would effectively just stop future Liliana for his opponent. That's what it would do. Echeverria doesn't have many great cards himself either to side in. Like those decks, they usually have their sideboard to shard up their weaknesses from the main. They have so much removal in it that they have to take out against certain decks that they need sideboard slots for those decks. There's like, Surgicals, Molten Rains, and stuff like that. I do believe he wants Goblin Rabble Master because I think that is just a threat that ends the game by itself. So even if you play it, it lives for 1 or 2 turns and they kill you, get an advantage. And I think that's what you're looking for in a matchup like this. He also probably wants the Nihil Spellbomb. You don't want Surgical as a Graveyard Hate card because it costs you a card, but Nihil Spellbomb doesn't cost you anything. So you play as many of those as you have. In this case, it's 1. And I like Engineered Explosive against this deck too because both Tarmogoyf and Green Flare cost 2, so both of the main threats, and also the Scavenging Ooze, which is quite good in this matchup. And then in a pinch, you can kill all your opponent's Lingering Souls tokens.
Echeverria thought his way a Tarmogoyf, but unfortunately for him, one of the 2 draws that Guici took this turn reveals another Goyfsky here. And so it looks like a 2-drop is going to be committed on turn number 2, right on time. And it's still, wow, it's already pretty big, a 4-5.
Yeah, and the bubble's gone now. And even if you were going to, if you're going to play a bubble and you're going to sack it, so that you want to draw a card in your next turn, right? So you're going to sack it either way. It is still better to sack it in your opponent's turn because then the card that you draw cannot be discarded. Yeah. So if he sacked it first, he would have drawn a card on his turn, on his opponent's turn, and then maybe that would have got Thoughtseize, for example. So it's better to just do it on your opponent's turn anyway.
Terminate takes care of that Tarmogoyf here. And now Guici. 3 basics, all of them white-bordered. At least they're not mismatched. Not that they possibly really could be. I guess a black-bordered one would be pretty tilting in there. Scavenging Ooze, the play now, so another 2-drop hitting the battlefield here for Guici man.
And quite a good one at that. It's really, really important in this matchup. Though it will probably just get Kolaghan's Command now when there's no green mana available. Like, ideally, you're using Kolaghan's Command to return something from your graveyard. But you will cast it to make them discard a card anyway if you have to.
You have to work very hard with Kol. It's possible, but you have to work really hard not to 2-for-1 your opponent with the Kolaghan's Command.
Oh, it's very difficult.
It's very difficult not to.
And this is even this is post board. There are not going to be any bad cards in their just hand, so it's always going to be a relevant card.
Now Guici there does discard a Path to Exile rather than casting it, and his opponent's like, what's going on there, buddy? Just cast it. I mean, that's much better. He's like, nope, got all my basics already. Don't even need it. Don't even need it, my friend. Not even going to tap this Plains. Don't need to, don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, this is a spot where he could have pathed his own creature, and then he would effectively...
So Duress mode activated on Collective Brutality, and look at that. We got 2 pair in the hand of Echeverria.
Yeah, Collective Brutality is a card that is not great against Mardu because... a lot of the time you are somewhat in the late game. The card you care about is Battle Unraveler, and it doesn't discard that. But it does kill Young Pyromancer in turn 2. And yeah, that's really important. You can't let that creature live.
Back to Guici now as we see Marsh Flats come down. And I think he's just shipped. So this is certainly a slower game. These players trading off resources in the early turns. Guici with the questions, but Echeverria with the answers.
Yeah, and I think this is how this matchup should go most of the time. It's very hard to get a big advantage on board. Like, unless multiple lingering souls are involved, which I guess they were in game 1, or an unnecessary Pyromancer or Green Flare, but as a general rule, I would expect that most things that I play will die, and whoever has the best thing standing was going to win.
Yeah, when the dust settles, it's kind of whichever creature is left there to pick up all the pieces will often be able to carry the entire game on their shoulders. Well, we'll see how things progress now as that Marsh Flats finds a Sacred Foundry. Echeverria goes back to that weird library and graveyard positioning. Both of these players highly unorthodox library positioning, I have to say.
Yeah, Lizard's only one this time. But we'll see what happens when he
when he runs out of that. Where do you put your library?
Sorry?
Where do you put your library?
To the right.
Top right?
Yeah, top right.
Like an actual human.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. We've established that you aren't a magic robot.
Have we?
Yeah, we got to have. It was a classic PV quote. You got to have a heart to hate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either that or you're a very, very advanced future bot. Here's the Thoughtseize now, and have a look at the grip that Guichi's working with.
I mean, that's going to be a Siege Rhino almost for sure.
Yep. Easy game, easy choice now for Echeverria. And now that he's seen that Shriek, now that he's seen that Abrupt Decay, he can find ways to leverage the position to have those cards have as little impact as possible.
Yeah, and it's definitely easy to do with a card like Shrikmaw, you know? Now, if he draws a Young Pyromancer, he's not just going to play it. He's going to wait until he can play a spell and then get a token out of it.
Or several, like if he finds a Metamorphose or something like that, he's going to be really happy to get as much value as possible. Of course, Shriekmaw, a sorcery speed terror effect, sometimes with a 3-2 staple to it. How many Shriekmaws have you cast in your time? Fair few?
Oh, yeah, quite a lot. There was a deck when Shriekmaw came out that it played 4 Shriekmaws and it played Mooldrifter and Makeshift Mannequin.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if you...
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, you bring it back with the Mannequin.
Yeah, that was a really cool deck. I played that a fair bit.
What's the percentage on Evoke versus non-Evoker Shriekmaw?
Oh, I guess most of the time I evoke it.
So like 80-20?
Oh, no, less than that. Probably like 70-30.
70-30.
Also, like with Living End, you almost never cast it.
Yeah.
So, and I've played Living End a fair bit too.
Yeah.
So that skews the percentages. So maybe about 80-20 when you consider everything.
Echeverria ships it back to Guichi. He's going to have a look at the top card. Wow, asserting his dominance. Just pick up that top card.
Yeah, I couldn't see what it was, unfortunately.
Nope. He just absolutely went for it here. Going to see a Lingering Souls now off the top from Guichi.
Yeah, and that is probably the card he wants to draw, right? It's one of the few cards from his side of the board that is known as a 2-for-1 or better.
Here are the 1/1s and an Overgrown Tomb to round out the term here for Guichi. Finally finds that 4th land. Of course, no Rhino to commit to the board just yet.
Yeah, I believe that is a Young Pyromancer. Whether it will get played right now or not depends on... You know, I think it probably shouldn't even get played.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, Leonardo's in 4 lands. And he's going to be able to, like, basically free roll that Shriekmaw if he draws a 5th land.
Yeah, that seems bad.
So what you probably want to do is wait until you have, like, at least 2 spells.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you need 2-3 spells to be able to cast it immediately. Echeverria's deck is chock full of cheap spells, and he's already got 5 lands, so he just needs a couple more ingredients to really bring this pot to the boil. He's having to think about it, though. It's obviously not that easy a decision.
No, and there's also Abrupt Decay in his opponent's hand that he knows of. So even if he has a bunch of sorceries, that won't really work.
Yeah,
his opponent hasn't tapped mana. So yeah, it is a very interesting decision.
Well, he ships. I like this. I have to say, I like that line.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. I don't really know what he has in hand other than a Lightning Bolt and a Pyromancer. Like, there might be like a Kolaghan's Command.
Guichi, 2 mana. We may see a Lingering Souls flashed back. Yes, indeed. So 2 more 1/1s enter the fray.
Yeah, and Echeverria would really like an explosive about now, like continued explosives. Because that would just get rid of all 4 tokens. But from the Leonardo side, you can't really play around it. You know, you only have 2 tokens, your opponent's at 12. That takes 6 turns, that's way too many.
Inquisition off the top here.
And we see a lot of players in this type of matchup take out some of their discard. You know, because the games do get to those top deck wars, and then discard is not a card you want to draw.
Pretty bad, yeah.
In this case, we actually know there is a spell in Leonardo's hand that will be discarded, but it's not the good one. The good one is Shriekmaw. That one can't be hit. So he might play it, or he might even just wait until he can play the Pyromancer and then play that. But again, at this point, he runs into the fact that Abrupt Decay can just be casting Response, which would be much, much worse for him.
We can make 2 tokens, right?
If you have an instant.
Yeah, he's got a Lightning Bolt in hand.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah.
But then he loses the Pyromancer.
And he loses the Bolt without very much value as well.
Yeah, I think he probably should just play it and take the Abrupt Decay.
Okay, well, that's what we're going to see here. Inquisition of Kozilek. Gucci reveals the hand, and Abrupt Decay hits the bin. How do you feel about opponents who immediately put the only Inquisition target straight into the graveyard?
You know, when they know about it, which is Decay, like this case, he just said 1 mana discard your Inquisition, right? That's the only thing the card does, and we know that. I have no problem with that at all. But if I don't know your hand, I want to look at it.
Yeah.
I don't like
enjoy it. You don't enjoy that sensation. Give me a hand.
I especially dislike it when they have a card that you can take, but it's obvious that you take the other one.
Yeah.
You know, you're on 5 life, they have a Lava Axe and a 1/1. And you're like, discard spell. They're like, they're going to discard the Lava Axe. Like, it's my choice.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing the Lava Axe. but you know, you have no control here.
Yeah, don't make the obvious choice for me. I want the satisfaction of being right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what do we play Magic if not for the satisfaction of being right?
I have to say, most of the time, not that this isn't, you know, a particularly difficult thing. Most of the time I play Magic with people who are much better than me at the game, right? So when I'm cubing or doing anything like that, sometimes if I don't know what to target with my Doomblade, I'll just tap 2 mana and reveal it and see which one they put. I'm like, yeah, that one. Yeah, because
you know that's good to know,
especially in like in a casual setting. Often, you know, they'll do the most obvious play to just to save time and keep it easy. But now I'm not going to do it against you. Actually, no, I will, and then you'll do it, and then I'll be like, no, the other one.
But that seems like you're just a recipe for. Should I? Is this one of the situations where I should random?
This is what? Yeah, you got to get those dice. Got to get those dice. So there's the exchange we talked about, ladies and gentlemen. We saw the young Pyromancer come down, and in response, the Shriekmaw. But already 2 tokens created from the young Peasy before it departed. By the way, do you know what Shriekmaw is in French?
I have no idea.
It is the early girl.
The what?
Early girl.
Okay.
It's hurly-gwirly. I've had my good friend Jean-Julien Zille pronounce that for me many times, and that was my best attempt, so you'll forgive me for not getting it 100% correct.
Yeah, that is interesting. There are a lot of very interesting card names in other languages.
Bog Tatters in German is Zumpflumpf.
Zumpflumpf?
Yep.
That's a nice name. It looks like something like a Noompa Loompa would say.
Zumpflumpf, yeah. And an Abrupt Decay to take care of Pyromancer number 2 as Gucci continues to apply the pressure in the air.
Yeah, I like the German Wild Nikado. It's just the Wilder Nikado.
It's Wilder Nikado, yeah. But a Lingering Soul is going to put up the defenses for Echeverry. He's going to be able to flash it back as well. So all of a sudden on the defensive very nicely. You know the card Coercion in German is Zwang. Zwang, right?
Okay.
And the card Duress in German, also Zwang.
Oh, in Portuguese it's the same.
Yeah, right.
They're both called the same too.
They're both called the same thing. Yeah.
It's not Zwang because we're a real language with vowels and stuff.
Okay, excuse me.
But yeah, they're both called coergir or coerção.
Oh, that definitely sounds like a much more real. Oh, and you can't even remember the word. You're talking about it being a much
that's
realer
because
word.
when they released Duress again, they changed the name.
Yeah, right.
So we have some Duresses.
Oh, some Duresses.
Called, yeah.
They're like, okay, whoops, we'll fix this.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Here's a Faithful Looting now. Echeverry having a think about what he's going to discard. There are some pretty wild German card names. I think my favorite, my
Wilder even.
The Wilder, yeah. But of course the French, they don't stop. The party don't stop with the French. Have you ever cast Descend Upon the Fisherman?
Oh,
yeah. What a card name. What a card name. Descend. There's a translation error with Descend Upon the Sinful there for those of you who haven't seen that one. Look at this one though. A Bedlam Reveler cast for Jose Echeverry, and that Lingering Souls has really led to pretty good stuff from him now because he's not only put up a defense force to protect his rather tenuous life total, he's now refueled very nicely, and look at that hand.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a very, very good spot now.
He's really started to turn the corner here.
His opponent needs probably a Lingering Soul into a Siege Rhino.
And that's just for starters.
Well, then if he draws Dad, I think he just wins.
Really?
Well, he doesn't because Echeverry has another Lingering Soul in hand, right? So yeah, that doesn't even win.
He's got 500,000 blockers here.
Yeah.
750,000 even. I haven't counted.
Many.
Many.
Yeah, I mean, 2 Sage Rhinos, that would be good.
Double Rhino
That would do it, yeah.
across the sky. Get
Yeah,
it done.
There are only 2 in the deck, you know, but...
Echeverria poised here to really... oh, look at this. I love it. Right-click, attack with all. Except Pyromancer. Bring it back. Click on it again. Bring it back.
I mean,
No.
I don't even mind attacking with the Pyromancer.
Not going to do it. Maybe going to do it?
At this point, he's got to be thinking, like, should I bother to play around something like Damnation? You know, it's very unlikely it's in my opponent's deck, but it could be in my opponent's deck. I know he has it in his sideboard. Is it the way I lose this game?
Guichi. Under a ton of pressure here. Echeverria certainly wind's blowing in his direction right now. Or I guess wind's blowing at his back is probably better. You don't really want the winds blowing in your direction. You start getting
I guess
tears
not.
streaming out of your eyes and that sort of stuff.
Were you there when Ben Stark said, yeah, this is really tough. It's a real downhill battle?
Oh, no.
Yeah, that did
Poor-
happen. I
poor
think it
old
was
Ben
on
Stark.
stream, too.
Oh, no, poor old Ben. He can't catch
I'm
a break.
not sure. Yeah.
3 more tokens now from this Lingering Souls. Echeverria is going to attack after having cast them. I don't know what difference that made, but sure. Oh, because the Pyromancer. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I like the Battle and Reveler sitting back because of the Treetop Village.
Yeah, sure. 3/3 trample.
But it's interesting that the Lingering Souls wasn't flashed back. Even though, you know, it would also generate an extra token from doing that. And it's likely that he will do that anyway, though he might play the second Battle and Reveler he has in hand. But yeah, at this point he's thinking, how do I lose this game?
Yeah,
And
it
his two
is
options-
actually a downhill battle for him here.
Yeah, his 2 options are Damnation or, you know, Treetop Village attacking plus Sage Rhino. And he's going to make it so that this won't be a way for him to die to Treetop Village in any capacity here. He was pretty safe anyway with his blockers, but, you know, just leaving the Battle Reveler back basically ensures that it won't happen.
Trades are made here for Gucci as he's knocked down to 7 thanks to that Air Force getting in. No worries at all. Young Pyromancer and his cronies hit the bin, and we'll see if Echeverria wants to follow it up with another Young Pyromancer. Looks like he's not going to do it. Plays around that Damnation. Very careful stuff from him here. Gucci on 7.
I mean, he has, like, super lethal in play.
A Maelstrom Pulse with a flourish as well, PV. How do you like these apples, he says.
Yeah, and isn't it good that he didn't play that Lingering Souls?
Yeah, wow.
So super well played by him. But though he's still going to, yeah, he's still going to win.
Maybe.
And, you know, I really like leaving back to Battle and Reveler in a spot like this, for example.
Clued into that, perhaps by the fact that Guichi blocked those elemental tokens with his spirits rather than the spirits in the air.
Yeah.
Little clue there. Yeah, that's a nice pickup from Echeverria.
Well, by the time he decided not to attack with the Battle and Reveler, he didn't know that was going to happen yet.
No, sure, but
Right.
choosing not to flash back the Lingering
Oh,
Souls
yes,
afterwards.
yes.
Yeah. Nice pickup there. Not something that everyone would see.
Yeah, for sure.
I know at least one of us in the commentary booth missed it. I'm not going to say which. I'm not going to say who it was. I'm not going to say who it was, PV.
That could have been either one.
It could have been either one of us. I mean, look, between us, we have over $500,000 in prize money. How many pro points do you have?
Lifetime?
Lifetime.
I don't know, 600 or something.
So between us, we have over 600 lifetime pro points.
Okay, how
Yeah.
many do you have?
That's not a point. Look, can you?
Because we might not be over 600 if you don't have that many.
You're asking some very. Can we focus on the game?
Is
here?
it too personal?
I don't. It's like
Is it not something you ask
I
a
have
guy?
I have a positive whole integer. All right.
Okay.
All right. I got 1.
1?
I got 1.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty
It's
good.
more than, you know, the great majority of the population.
I kind of blew my rookie of the year. My rookie year with just 1 lifetime. Yeah.
How else did you do in the Rookie of the Year race?
Yeah, it wasn't. I was well and truly on the bottom of that particular race here. Here's a surgical extraction. We didn't expect to see this one post board, but it certainly has something that Echeverria is going to leverage here, and it is the Siege Rhinoceros that he targets with it here. Let's have a look at that hand. He says, "What you working with? Double Lansky. Love to see that. Let's see what else is in the library here." As Echeverria goes hunting, and there is that Rhino right down the bottom. So at this stage, Echeverria seems to be in that. What am I going to lose to?
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer right now is pretty clearly nothing. But, you know, if it is anything, it's Damnation. But he's still in a good spot, even if his opponent has Damnation.
So going to shuffle up here as he has a quick squiz at what Gucci is working with. Those 2 lands in hand are not looking good.
No, they aren't.
Real stinkers there for poor old Gucci man.
And they're really not looking good when compared to the Battling Reveler in Echeverria's hand.
Oh, no, another one. So he's going to draw 3 more cards here. Okay, a couple of lands. That's not what he wanted to see, in addition to an Inquisition of Kozilek, which is also a Blankski. So back comes another Lingering Souls here.
I'm wondering what Echeverria sideboarded out, because he has a ton of discard left. We've seen Bolts and we've seen Surgicals. Maybe he just didn't bring in the cards that I thought I would, like the Explosives and the Rebel Masters.
Lingering Souls off the top for Guichi. That's good stuff here. Echeverria.
Yeah, I still think it's too little too late. He's in chump block mode now, and he doesn't even have Siege Rhinos in his deck anymore to threaten any sort of offense. So Echeverria knows that no matter what happens, he's not dying next turn, even if he leaves 0 blockers back. And his opponent still has attackers for some reason. And there's still Lingering Souls.
Land off the top here for Echeverria. Flooding out a little here, you'd have to say. Although Faithless Looting is going to be a nice one for him now to draw 2, discard 2. Oh, double Bedlam Reveler off the top as well.
Is he going to keep 1?
He's got to keep 1.
Oh, he's going to keep 2, I mean.
He keeps 2. He keeps both of them. There you go.
I mean, every card will be discarded anyway.
Taps 4 and just like plays them really quickly together.
You could do that.
I don't think that's a legal game action, dude.
You're like, I'll stack the ability.
Yeah. He needs an Alchemist Refuge here, and 2 more colors of mana. 5-color control featuring Alchemist Refuge and Bedlam Reveler.
Yeah, the Lingering Souls in the graveyard there should be exiled by Leonardo, but I think both players know that it's exiled.
Yeah, as soon as it comes up. I guess for the sake of clarity, we will make sure that Lingering Souls gets exiled, though.
Yeah, I mean, if we see he just untap and try to cast it, we're like, well, that's awkward, but I don't think that's what's going to happen.
No. Quite an easy oversight to make here.
Yeah, and you don't pay a lot of attention to this kind of thing when you're dead, you know? You're just like thinking about what you're going to do with your prize and what you're going to tell all your friends about how unlucky you were.
How unlucky you were, exactly, yeah. Yeah. Oh, he surgicaled my 2 Rhinos. It was terrible. Here's another Bedlam Reveler. Going to discard that Inquisition and draw 3 more cards. And here's a Blood Moon finally.
Yeah. Not overly useful.
No, not super great here.
In this spot, but
doors closing on Guichi. He's going to take a fair pasting now from these creatures. Echeverria has really done a great job, as we see that Lingering Souls finally get exiled. Really done a great job of battening down the hatches and is now maneuvering himself into a position of power.
Yeah, and here, again, attacking with all but 1 spirit. I couldn't tell you what is right. Attacking with both, attacking with 0, attacking with just 1. But I do find attacking with 1 to be very random, and I wonder what the thought process is behind that.
Yeah, it's a little weird. That's a little bit of a weird move, as we see both Bedlam Revelers blocked. 2 damage gets across to Guichi. He's going to take another point here to crack this Verdant Catacombs. He needs something special. Damnation's going to be the first piece of this puzzle, if he's even brought it in. You would have counseled against him doing that, but it'd be a great draw from here.
Oh, yeah, I definitely would. I mean, it's the only way he can win, right? I don't think it's in his deck.
Off the top, nothing. He can't find it, and the champion of GP Sao Paulo is Jose Echeverria. The crowd lifts to their feet. They can't believe it. And congratulations to the Mardu Pyromancer player who has stitched together an incredible performance, PV, to take down the whole tournament.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, Echeverria is from Chile.
Yeah.
And all those people cheering for him, I assume, are from Chile or they're from Brazil and really don't like Leonardo.
That's one of the two.
There's a big Chilean crowd here.
Yeah.
This is not that close to Chile. It's like a 3-4 hour flight or something. So a huge Chilean contingent here.
Well, congratulations to them and, of course, to Jose Echeverria. And commiserations to his opponent there, Abzan Traverse. Great to see it up again at the top tables, but unfortunately not quite enough there to get across the line.
Yeah, and I think it was well played. And the matches, we didn't see, before we saw like a Mulligan to 4 do nothing. Those were like a bummer. But those games were good, and they were what you expect from the games, right? They're like, both players have empty hands. One draws a Lingering Souls, and they're like, oh, that's so great. Then someone draws a Battling Reveler. There's no card that compares to that in
there's a lot of counter
deck. So yeah, they went back and forth, and at certain points we thought a player was favored or not. Like the Maelstrom Pulse was huge.
Yeah, it was a huge draw, but just couldn't quite pull it together there. And you can see the crowd assembling behind us, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to welcome our GP champion into the booth here. But Paul, I have to say, Usually, obviously, I have to sort of sit here and say something positive and, make up some rubbish about how fantastic the weekend's been and how much of a pleasure it's been with you. Happily, this weekend, I don't have to lie through my teeth because what a pleasure and a privilege it's been to work with the LeBron James of Magic. Paulo, it's been an honor, my friend. Thanks so much for hanging out with me this weekend and being my partner in crime. It's been terrific.
Thank you for having me.
So, Paulo Vita Damarosa, we'll depart the booth now because we have our GP champion to bring in here. So, Paulo, if you don't mind too much, we will make room now for our GP champion again.
I'll live.
I'll see you. I'll see you on the other side, my friend.
Thanks, everybody. See you next tournament.
And we're going to leave that headset there as well. We're trying to all the fringe benefits there, and we will now welcome our champion into the feature match area here. Here he. Oh no, he's still okay. We're just sitting here waiting for him to continue all the curtain calls, and here he comes finally. All right, there he comes. There, my friend. There you go. Sit down here, my friend. Whack this on your noggin, and let's have a chat about how it went. Whack that on your head there, my friend. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. What a victory for you. Mardu Pyromance, is this a deck that you've played for a long time?
No, actually, I didn't know what to play the night before.
The night before?
Yeah. So I took that deck because a friend of mine wasn't using it.
So it's a spare? It was left over?
That's right.
Wow, and it's really done so well for you. How has it performed? You've been happy with it? Are there changes that you're going to recommend moving forward, or is it perfect?
I actually like the deck. I don't know. I didn't test it much, so I couldn't recommend any changes.
But just the Gary Campbell special, just pick it up, run with it, and win a GP. Obviously, you come all the way from Chile, I understand. 3 or 4 hour flight over here like that. You must be stoked to be winning South American GP on more or less home turf here in South America. You'll take it at least, even though we're in Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, any Grand Prix in South America I will travel to.
Yeah, of course.
It's only chances we have to play Grand Prix and to get on the Pro Tour, so you must take them whenever you can. Yeah,
exactly right. Well, you've certainly done that this weekend. Congratulations to you, a GP championship, a nice bit of hardware for the mantelpiece there, and $10,000 in your back pocket, my friends. Congratulations. I'll get you to stay there for just a second as we close out the show because, my friends, I'm sorry to say that all good things must come to an end. What a weekend we've had here in Brazil. It's been fantastic to showcase the modern format, but we are going to say goodnight here from Sao Paulo. Before we do, on behalf of the entire coverage team, I'd like to thank the judges, the tournament organisers and the players for helping to contribute to the success of the weekend. But of course, the biggest thanks go out to you, ladies and gentlemen around the world, wherever you are. Thank you for choosing to join us this weekend. It's been fantastic to have you. And we hope to see you again very soon back here at the home of Magic, twitch.tv/magic. We're looking forward to it. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, before I let you go, let me remind you that after an event like this, it's important to remember that we're all winners for having taken part. It's just some of us win a little bit more than others. On behalf of the entire coverage team, it's Riley Knight from Sao Paulo saying good night. We'll see you next time.